Today I want to dive into the basics of fat loss. The 3 methods we're going to dive in today is number 1, calorie restriction, number 2, time restriction, and number 3, food group restriction. The first one is calorie restriction. And when I say calorie restriction, it's a lot of times what we also mean calorie counting. This is where we actually measure out our food. We weigh the food, we see what the calories are in them, how many kilojoules, how many grams of this, how many grams of fat. And a diet that fits into this area quite often is what we can say counting your macros. There is a bit of a learning curve with calorie counting. Is it the best? It depends. Does it work for some? Yes. One thing I will say on calorie counting, it's a valuable skill I think everyone should learn how to do if they want to lose weight and keep it off. Why do I say that? A lot of times we don't actually understand how much we are eating, less even so how much energy the food has that we are eating. If we say let's dedicate 6 to 8 weeks of actually calorie counting, that gives you the ability to start understanding how much energy is actually in the foods that you generally eat. Once you have that knowledge, it's always with you. Nobody can take it away. Now you can start seeing, if you go to a restaurant, you can know how many calories give or take there is. If you're eating with friends, somebody dishes up food to you, you can kind of see how many calories there are. But it also gives you the ability to spot when you're going over those calories you should be going. Is it something you should do year-round? No. Is it a valuable skill to learn? Definitely. The second method is time-restricted eating, or more popularly known as intermittent fasting. Now, what is intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting or time-restricted eating is just shortening the window that we consume food and extending the window that we don't consume food. Think of it, a few popular ones is 16 hours we don't eat, 8 hours we do eat, 20 hours we don't eat, 4 hours we do eat. How does it work? Instead of having breakfast, move your first eating time to say 10, 11 or 12 o'clock and finish eating by 6, 7 o'clock at night. What does that do? That shortens the window where we actually do eat, which makes it easier to miss one whole meal. And in return, we consume less calories throughout the day by limiting the time we are actually eating. However, with this one, we still need to be vigilant, because what some people actually do, if they skip breakfast and they go to lunch, they will eat a larger meal at lunch and a larger meal at dinner, and then still actually going over on energy. If you go the intermittent fasting route, make sure you don't overcompensate by having larger meals than you should. And also, another benefit of time-restricted eating, it's less cooking that's needed. It's less thinking about what's for breakfast now or what's for dinner if you skip dinner. It simplifies not worrying about food as much. The third method is food group restriction. And this is usually when a diet has a name to it. Think like keto, Banty, Whole30, paleo diet, vegan diet, vegetarian diet, carnivore diet. What all these have in common, they eliminate certain food groups. And what are those food groups we eliminate? Usually we either eliminate carbs, or we eliminate fats, a low-fat diet, or we eliminate sugars, or we eliminate all animal products, so it's a vegan diet, or we eliminate everything except animal products, that's the carnivore diet. And there's many levels of in-between. Yes, a lot of times this can also get us the result of losing weight by eliminating some of those food groups that usually led us to overeat. Highly processed carbs, highly fat foods. What is the best one? There is none again. This is where we need to think about the bigger picture. What works for each person is different. But this is also where we need to try all 3 of these if fat loss is the goal. I've been on my fat loss journey. I went from 116 kilograms to my 68 to 70 kilograms now. Which one was the magic one I used? I used all 3. Different times for different ones. The most valuable one for me was calorie counting. That gave me the ability to actually understand how much energy is in the food. Then the second most important one I use often is intermittent fasting. If I know I'm going to have a dinner party tonight or an event to go to, I'll purposefully skip breakfast. Lunch, I'll have some protein to satiate me. And then come dinner time, I can enjoy the food with friends and family. I can socialize. We still need to be able to enjoy food, socialize, build the bonds around it. You need to think which one of these three is the easiest to start, because that is the key. We must see what's the easiest to start with, and then we build on there. Something's hard to start and you really struggle with it. Do you think you're going to succeed 8 to 12 weeks later? No. So if you're okay to skip a meal, time restricted. If you're a more analytical person, you like numbers, you like tracking things, go calorie counting. If both of those seem daunting, okay, what about for the next 8 weeks, cut out carbs completely? Or go low fat. Think, what's the easiest place for you to start?
There's no risk if you don't try at anything, so I'ma just keep buying everything.